Some of you may have a visceral connection or visceral reaction when you hear the phrase, children should be seen and not heard. Some of you don't have a visceral reaction when you hear it, but you are familiar with the phrase. If you don't have a visceral reaction to the phrase, children should be seen and not heard, count yourself as being fortunate. I know I do. Now, in place of the word fortunate, I almost use the term blessed. I caught myself because if I say, count yourself as being blessed, it implies that God blessed you by raising you in an environment that made your life better than, say, the kid down the street who was raised in an environment where they were treated as less than those around them, treated as less than the adults. An environment where their voice was not important, not worth being heard. You see, if we say, consider yourself blessed, then we are making a statement about who God is and who God loves, or at least who God loves more. And of course, this would only be our own personal perspective, our own personal point of view as to who God loves enough to bless and who God doesn't. Really, when we boil it all down, using the word blessed in relation to someone's life being more fortunate, it's not about God at all, but rather about our own judgment. Who do we think God loves? Who do we believe God loves more? And I know from experience that this tilt of the love scale could go either way, and often teeters back and forth. I feel blessed. God loves me. I do not feel blessed. God must love others more than me. Jesus was trying to teach his disciples some really important stuff. Life, death, resurrection. Jesus is trying to teach his students, his congregation, about things that are beyond the earthly and into the divine. Vital lessons about how his life is going to be seen as less than, as disposable. A life that is only supposed to be seen and not heard because his voice was teaching some deep truths, so deep and so filled with truth that it made the important people feel small. It made the people whose voices it was okay to listen to feel challenged, and feeling challenged made them fearful of what life would be like if their voices were no longer heard. What would happen if the world began listening to Jesus, a small-town nobody, a Galilean from the wrong side of the tracks, or in this case, someone from Nazareth? And everyone knows nothing good comes from that region. I can't help but wonder if Jesus just threw his hands up as he taught the disciples walking along the way. Some were arguing and only paying attention to themselves. Others tried to listen, but they just couldn't understand. I don't know if Jesus got it from Mary or Joseph, but Jesus was either blessed or fortunate to possess the gift of persistence. He was not done with the disciples, and especially since the thing that they were arguing about was about being the greatest. Arguing about who deserves to be seen, to not only be seen, but to have the privilege of being heard as well. It is interesting that the disciples were arguing about who is the greatest, but when Jesus begins answering the question of greatness, he doesn't say, the greatest is the one who. He doesn't say that. No, Jesus says, whoever wants to be first. Whoever wants to be first. Humanity, their society said, whoever is the greatest is the one who is first. The one with the most power. The one at the head of the table. The first in line. The first to speak. The first to be heard. The first to be believed. And the first to be trusted. The greatest is the first to be rewarded with good things. Humanity sure gets it wrong a lot. Jesus was not only gifted with persistence, he was also gifted with the strength to pick up the world and turn it upside down. Jesus said, whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all. This is why the powers that be wanted Jesus to only be seen and not heard, because it was this kind of teaching that takes away their power and gives it to those without any. The kind of teaching that gives a voice to those who have not been allowed to speak. It is this kind of teaching that can and should lead us to redefine our focus and show us what is truly important in the world. Jesus saying, whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all, redefines for us what is good, right, and beautiful, and points us down a sacred path with the knowledge to live into that newfound beauty. Jesus understood the power of a visual aid, something tangible to see, to hold on to, something real to connect with. He took a little child and put it among them. A child, the least important, the least valuable person in the room, was now front and center. A child was now first among them. And not only were they first among them, Jesus took the child in his arms, making them one with him. Don't we all want that? To be placed before Jesus and have him take us into his arms and made one with him, and if made one with him, then also one with God. I love this visual image of Jesus taking the child into his arms. But for those of you who are more auditory than visual, Jesus says, whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me. Now we can unpack this teaching by expanding the meaning of the word welcome. Does it help us when we hear it like this? Whoever serves one such child in my name serves me, and whoever serves me serves God. What about whoever listens to one such child in my name listens to me, and whoever listens to me listens to God? Whoever stands up for one such child in my name stands up for me, and whoever stands up for me stands up for God. Whoever defends one such child in my name defends me, and whoever defends me defends God. And we can't forget the heart of the word welcome with whoever loves one such child in my name loves me, and whoever loves me loves God. Jesus put a child in the center of his followers and took them in his arms, not because they were cute and would make a good story. Jesus put the child in the center and welcomed and loved them because they were not yet worth anything. They were perceived as worthless. In that room, the child represents the lowly, the poor, the homeless, the sick, the lame, the abused, the forgotten, the cheated, the addicted, the queer, the racial minority, and any other category that we can think of where one human uses it as an excuse to treat others as less than, and in turn, falsely raise themselves up as being blessed more than others. Jesus says, whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all. And when Jesus says we are to serve all, I think he means it.